The pandemonium starts at Fulham in the early kickoff. They take on Manchester City, a host of games kicking off at 3 p.m. with critical afternoons in the lives and future of Burnley, Luton as well. And then Nottingham Forest included in that battle. They take on Chelsea in the late game on Saturday. Sunday, all eyes on Old Trafford as Manchester United host Arsenal, Aston Villa, Liverpool. On Monday, Tuesday, there's Tottenham, Man City, and Wednesday there are two games as well. Brighton, Chelsea, Man United versus Newcastle. Don't blink, you're going to miss some action because this is what it looks like in the Premier League. We are getting the title race we deserve. Is it going to go to the last day? We are going to find out in match week 37. Arsenal and Manchester City separated by just 1 point. Liverpool in third, and then Aston Villa and Tottenham also still fighting it out in the battle for Europe. Newcastle, Chelsea and Manchester United. It is interesting in that fight as well. Talking about interesting, talking about close, what about the bottom of the Premier League table? Nottingham Forest did themselves a huge favour last time out. That means trouble for Luton and Burnley. It all goes down to this weekend. I know it's the penultimate weekend of action, but a lot could be decided in the Premier League. And to tell us what we can expect this weekend, to provide the expert opinion in the house with Zesh Riemann and Flo Lloyd-Hughes. The title race we deserve, the relegation battle we deserve, the battle for Europe we were hoping for, it is all lighting up its fire at the moment.
It's the business end of the season. It's the entertaining part of the season where things are decided, titles are won, people are relegated, livelihoods can change. There's a lot riding on these 2 weeks, and it's going to be really interesting now to see what happens.
Yeah, and for some people that means team no sleep. People like you who've been busy, their games every day now.
Yeah, when you pulled up that long fixture list, that is a lot of games running through to the final weekend of the season, because we've got teams that are playing catch-up as well, a little bit of games in hand. It's absolutely packed. So, yeah, it's going to be back-to-back.
Yeah, looking forward to it. We're looking forward to tonight's show, because here's what's coming up on Team Talks. Well, we are going to start with Sunday's action at Old Trafford. Here's Erik Ten Hag, followed by Mikel Arteta.
Yeah, a few doubts that tomorrow we can resolve because we have another training session, so we will have to wait and see.
Doubts over?
A few names that
the two
you
that
discussed. Yes.
Okay. Jorginho, yesterday, and you announced that you've extended his contract, short-term contract. I wonder how important he is to you with what you're trying to do this season, but obviously going forward to next season, and if you needed any persuasion at all.
I think there's no questions about his contribution to the team, the way he feels about his teammates, about the club, the way we play, and he's someone that makes everybody else better. That's his main quality. He's still hungry, he wants to win with us. He's happy here, his family is happy here, so for us it was a really easy decision.
We know he's a little bit like your eyes and ears on the field. Anybody that's watched you live can see the input he has from almost like a coaching point of view. Is there a bit of him that maybe reminds you of yourself then?
Well, he's a very important player for all the coaches, I think, because his game understanding, the way he communicates, the way he coaches people is excellent, and you need those type of players. But on top of that, I think as a model, very difficult to find somebody better than him. You know, when he needs to be at it and serious and drag people with him, he does it. And when it's fun and relaxing atmosphere, he's one of the best as well. So it's a good combination.
If I'd said to you, Mikel, at the beginning of the season, 2 games to go, you'd be right in a title race, win your last 2 games and the title could be yours, what would you have said?
I would have taken that pen and sign it. Yeah.
And we know that it might not work out the way that you want it. And can you give us a sense that if you have done that and you've signed that pen and you win your next 2 games, the sense of kind of crushing frustration, disappointment, or is it one of belief and joy because you're right where you wanted to be with 2 games to go?
My brain always took me to the place where we are lifting the Premier League. That's what my brain is doing at the moment. So I just follow my brain and my gut, and this is how I feel. and this is as well the way that I want everybody to think, and hopefully we can achieve it.
Just finally from me, Arsenal fans picked up their papers the other morning and saw Fulham doing some kite flying, and they were a little bit concerned that the Premier League title might be over. I wondered what you made of that and the idea of bonding, and I guess the best thing that you've done with this group of players to bond them, and I suspect it's probably not kite flying.
The power of team bonding, nobody knows what is it, but sometimes you get amazing results with it. I've been in teams that we have struggling to win a game and go out for dinner, do an activity, and then start an unbelievable run. So again, I'm very positive that that's going to be what's going to happen to Fulham.
Do you remember your best bonding? I mean, there was a phase of army training and co-steering and just hideous sounding things like that. Do you remember you got a moment that stuck out as a group, as a team?
We've done a few. We've done trips with David Moyes. He used to take us around the US, and one of the best I ever had in my life.
Okay, we'll go to Seb from the Premier League.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
Is it tough psychologically to not be in control of the title outcome? How do you manage that with the players?
Well, it leaves you a very clear situation that you have to focus and be determined to do what you have to do to be in the best possible position. That's very simple and clear, and that's what we are doing.
And you make sure the players know that it might not work? Do you have to prepare them to that possible outcome as well?
No, we have to think that it is going to work, and what is going to work is that that we try to be better than our opponents and beat them. And the final outcome, that would be something else that at the moment is not in our control.
Manchester United aren't in the greatest of forms. We saw that at Selhurst Park. Does that count in this game, or do you think it's the fixture where you take the form out of the equation?
I don't think about every game has a different context. We know the difficulty is in our history when you look at what we've done over there, so we're going to have to be at our best to earn the right to win the game.
You don't have the greatest of records at Old Trafford, well Arsenal don't anyway. Does it make it even more challenging to prepare that game knowing you must win in this context? It
is, and we know what we need to do, but first of all we have to perform at a really high level to deserve to win the match, and that's where the focus is.
Mark from PA.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
I just wonder what you'll be doing at 12:30 tomorrow. Will you be training when the City game's on, or will you be watching it? Or?
We're going to be training.
Anyone giving you the updates, or you're not interested?
I don't know. I don't know if it's something that we can control, but I'm sure people will be connected to it.
It's 2 years now you've gone head-to-head with what a lot of people consider, yourself included, I think, the best team in the world. What does that just say about you and the fact that it is 2 years? It isn't just a one-off. That must be important to you.
Yeah, that we are in the journey to try to catch them and try to be better than them, which is the aim and what we have to do. And it is an inspiration to have this level of opposition, and that's what it makes you better always, when there is someone challenge you to go further and further.
I suppose the proof of how difficult it is to beat them is when you look at someone like Jurgen Klopp, who leaves Liverpool in summer. He's only managed to win one Premier League title. That in itself shows you just how difficult it is to beat City, isn't it?
Yeah, and obviously the history of City, so before that as well, they were winning trophies, and they're winning Premier League, and they've been in an unbelievable journey in the last 10-15 years. But we want to change that. We're trying to do everything that we can to improve and get better and better.
Kai, Football London.
Hi, Mikel.
Hi.
You spoke a lot about going to Anfield and it being like a washing machine and the difficulty of the atmosphere there. I just wonder if you hold Old Trafford on a similar path.
Well, it is different, but yeah, obviously the difficulties there, the quality of the opposition, the quality of the individuals, the manager. It brings a lot of challenges. So, as I said, we've been in very difficult scenarios this season. We've done very well, and hopefully we can do the same on Sunday.
Do you have any personal memories of sort of difficult times you've had at Old Trafford? Because obviously you weren't able to win there as a player, but maybe as a manager you were able to.
I don't know. I think now we are preparing the game and try to visualize the game that we're going to have to play on Sunday, and we put ourselves in a really positive context. That's what we try to do.
I know you don't want to look too much at the past, but the reverse fixture obviously carries some fantastic memories. I just wondered what your memories of the dramatic late win earlier in the season.
Yeah, it was again with a lot of alternatives. difficult one. There were small margins because they had a huge moment when the goal was disallowed. It was a 1-2. And then we turned the game around and scored 2 very good goals. So that tells you the difficulty, the quality of them, and what we're going to have to do to beat them.
Hi, Erik.
Hi.
I mean, the main question I guess to start off with is, will you have any players back on Sunday?
I hope I have players, yeah. But yeah, there are players trained. They did train tomorrow. Of this morning, there was Bruno was on the pitch, and Scott McTominay was back on the pitch. So there are some players returning, but also I have to report that unfortunately yesterday Mason Mount fell out, so he will not be available for Sunday.
Is it? Obviously it's only 15 days to the cup final now. Are there any players that are definitely not going to feature again this season?
Not in this moment, definitely. But we have some doubts. Some players they're really fighting to be available, and that is so amazing. They all try. They are all desperate to play. Yesterday, Licia came to me. He wanted to play tomorrow, on Sunday against Arsenal, but he's not ready yet. He needs a little bit more time to go through the process. But he is so desperate, and there are more. Rafa Varane, Victor Lindelof, Luke Shaw had a setback in his process as well, but there's still a hope, and he will fight to be available for the final.
Martinez is keen to play in the cup final, but he's had 3 injuries this season. He's back on the grass. What's his situation?
I just tried to explain. He is desperate to play. He misses so much. The team missed him, and he wants to play, but as you say, he had 3 injuries across the season. And he's almost there, so injury free. So he's in the end of the healing process, and now he has to get back into team training, into matches.
Is there a situation where you're almost on the verge of gambling with players' fitnesses, or would you never do that?
I will never do a gamble with the player, never. It's about them, about their futures. Because that's the most important, about their careers. I have to take responsibility for it, and of course the club, that's the most important, but the safety from the player, the health of the player, I think that is also always a higher level.
And Rashford, where's he at the moment?
Rashford, of course, he trained this morning as well, and we have to see how he recovered from this, but I think it looks quite good. And I hope he can tomorrow make the next training and then see if he's available for Sunday.
Is it important to get the result, the performance right on Sunday, or are you already starting to think about that cup final?
Both, but we always go in a game to win and not preparing for next game. And of course it is in my back head, but we want to put out a team what is competitive for Sunday, a team what is eager to win, and we choose the best team for Sunday to win that game.
Erik, of course you want to win the next game, as you say. At what point though do you start looking at the bigger picture and think about prioritising games?
You do always, so I don't take big risks with players now to win on Sunday, and with the risk they drop out again. But I think it's not so different in a normal situation if you didn't have that cup final.
And looking ahead to Sunday, Arsenal, how do you prepare for them? What do you expect?
We know all, it's one of the best teams, or probably the best team. You can discuss about this. Is City the best team, or is Arsenal at this moment the best team? Very ball secure. Very good structures. We know we have to play to absolutely our maximum levels to get a result in, but we are capable of it.
What do you say to the fans, Erik, who probably look at this game and think after Monday we've got absolutely no chance?
So you see the fans on Monday, they were our example. That is what I told the players. They backed us, and I think they see how we struggle. They see our problems we have. So they have a very good understanding about all the injuries we have, that we struggle, but they keep backing the team. So I'm very pleased with them.
Just about Mason Mount, I mean, it almost encapsulates your season in a way, that he came, big expectations, and he can never play again.
It's very unfortunately very unlucky, and as you see, it's a symbol, but we have so many injuries, and it's difficult for all of us, for the whole club, but in particular the fans, and that's why they show unity, and when things are going bad and you stick together, we will come out, and still we have to play for something really high. That's the FA Cup final, of course, and for the rest we will keep fighting in every game to get us also over the ranking into Europe.
Samuel.
Just on a relatable note with Mount, do you regret not signing Declan Rice because he was available for transfer in the summer, given his impact at Arsenal?
He's a very good player. I would absolutely have fitted here, but not that I'm not happy with Mason. This is what you're suggesting. I'm very happy with Mason, and he's also a very robust player. You see if in his profile. He played, I think, the last 4 seasons. So this is the 5th. Then the last 4 seasons only had a small issue in the end of his Chelsea career. Before that, he played almost all the games 3 seasons after each other, with 3 days turnaround. He always played, and so I think it's really bad luck what happened to him. And he's a very good player, and we really missed him across the season, I think, because he would have absolutely would have a contribution to our levels.
James.
Erik, your fellow Dutchman Louis van Gaal had a difficult second season in charge at United in the Premier League and Europe, but then went on to win the FA Cup, but to his great disappointment was sacked. Have you got any concern that the club, that even if you go on to win at Wembley, that the club might end up making a similar decision to what they did over Louis?
No, I think they have common sense, and they see when you have 32 different backlines, when you have 8 centre backs, you use 8 centre backs. If they see we use 13 partnerships in centre halves, when they see when we don't have a left fullback, when we have so many injuries, they know that will have a negative impact on the results. And still, we are fighting, and it's huge, FA Cup final. So we are very happy to be there, and can still be a highlight for this season. And of course, we are not happy, but we know the reasons why we are underperforming in the ranking now, and that causes the injuries. And I'm a realistic person, and I see this when I make this analysis. And no team will perform when you have so many injuries in key areas.
He's saying his brain says they're lifting the title, but they have to go to Old Trafford, where they don't have a great record, and win in order to take that title fight to the last day. If they don't, it's City's to win at their rival Spurs on Tuesday.
Yeah, I mean, Arsenal at the minute, unstoppable. The way they're playing, they're scoring goals for fun, very solid at the back, and I fancy them to go there and win, because Man United's confidence right now, obviously off the back of the Crystal Palace game, will not be in a good place. I think if Arsenal can score early, the floodgates could open, but I do expect a bit of a reaction from Man United in this one.
Yeah, because what we saw on Monday, I know that Crystal Palace are on a good wicket at the moment. I know that under Oliver Glasner, things are going really well. They have been playing well. I did not expect that result.
I don't think many people did. Obviously, we know it's not been a good season for Manchester United. They're on a bad run. But the way that they collapsed and the manner and how it escalated, Zesh is completely right. I think they'll demand a reaction, and that's probably what is making Arsenal fans a little bit nervous, given their bad record there. It's, what, 1 win in 16, even though Arsenal have been by far the more dominant side out of those 2 teams in recent years, even though, you know, Manchester United historically have won those battles up until the last few years. Arsenal have been really dominant, but they still haven't managed to get that many good results there. So it's going to be interesting because there is so much on the line, and even though Manchester United are sort of out in a lot of conversations, they've still got to pick up some form before a huge FA Cup final.
Defenders Union representative on the couch here, so I feel like we need to ask you about Man United's defence.
Well, I think sometimes you can overanalyse when the team conceded goals, but if you look at the Crystal Palace game, a couple of the goals are just individual errors. You know, the first one here, Casemiro comes way out of his position. Johnny Evans, instead of engaging the ball, drops off and allows Elise to get a clear shot at the goal. So sometimes it's just poor defending. Here again, square on, wrong body shape, gets beaten very easily and he gets punished. Sometimes you get away with it, but when you get punished and you get exposed like that, Crystal Palace, having played there, it's a tough ground to go and play. So you can't afford them, you know, opportunities on a plate. And then this is just inexcusable, really, for a player of his experience to get caught and then you get punished. And you have games like that as a defender, but they all come in one game and from players that you don't expect to make those mistakes. And his left foot, you know, when you put him in there, he's punished them.
I think Casemiro's catching a lot of smoke lately.
Yeah, it's hard. He's obviously, I think he's 32, 33 now. He's coming towards the latter stage of his career, but he's playing out of position. That's the most important thing, and that's why he's really, really finding it tough. I think that was Manchester United's 14th different centre-back partnership of the season, so it's a position they've struggled with because of injuries, and Ten Hag has made loads of changes there. So he's been put in an unfortunate situation, I think, and Zesh can probably answer on this. It's where that experience is the most disappointing thing, because even though he's playing in a position that he's not familiar with, he probably should have enough experience to see him through and be a bit more of a leader in those situations as captain as well. And that whole thing just sort of evaporated in one moment on Monday night.
Yeah, 100%. So Johnny Evans, Casemiro, probably the two most senior players on that side.
Yeah.
They set the tone for the team. So if they're solid, they're hard to break down, then the team can gather some momentum. But if your two senior guys are making mistakes, it doesn't bode well for the team, and obviously the result was the result. It weren't great, but I agree. If you've got that experience, sometimes you have to be a bit calmer, make more correct decisions.
And then I just wanted to ask you about the defence on the other side, because obviously Arsenal have kept 10 clean sheets away from home. It's a record for them. They have been phenomenal regarding their backline.
Yeah, I mean, like when teams are keeping clean sheets, the back four and the goalkeeper get a lot of credit, but it's definitely a collective team display. So the way they press, the way they're organised, you can see when you watch, they're well coached, they're drilled, the distances between everybody, they're a very well organised unit and they're getting clean sheets as a result of it.
So basically what you're saying, the best form of defence is also attack.
Well, if you press high and win the ball, your defence are not doing as much. But when called upon, defenders need to defend and enjoy defending, which they obviously do.
I thought you'd want to be talking about the defenders more, but fine. Since you want to talk about attackers, let's do that as the title race heats up. Ex-Gooner Theo Walcott has been to London. Can't need to chat with man of the moment, Leandro Trossard.
Good? I'm good, how are you? Yeah, good. Good to see you. Thanks for doing this. You're welcome. Really appreciate it. Seeing some of the atmosphere, I see a difference, like, of togetherness.
Honestly, this is for me one of the best dressing rooms I've been in, on and off the pitch. We are so connected. Everyone, is just cheering for the other one, even if there's competition. It's in every team, but you don't really feel that on the pitch.
And your relationship with Mikel at the moment, how is your relationship and how has he made you settle in? I always felt that Mikel would be a manager.
Yeah, he sees every small details. He wants to improve. He's so focused, and I think it helps the whole squad to be on it every day. Even in training, you're not allowed to like switch off. He wants you to be on it, and I think it's great.
Relentless, isn't it?
Yeah, yes.
Well, you scored some really important goals, and I know a lot of them have come off the bench. And do you tend to feel the pressure more when you come off the bench because you want to make a statement for yourself and to get into the starting lineup, which you are now, and creating, scoring, enjoying your football, which you want to do? All this competition at this club as well. It's important to start for you, I feel.
Yeah, of course. I think every player wants to start, but even when I'm on the bench, I always try to, impact games, like they say. And this season has been some games where actually managed to do it, and it's really nice if you can do that, especially for your team to help. But I won't say the mindset is different, because I want to impact the game as well when I start or if I come on as a sub. So, but yeah, it's obviously for a coach, I think it's really nice to have players like that, and I always want to push myself as well, even if it's only for 10 or 20 minutes.
Yeah. But did you ever expect Arsenal to be in a situation where you could create history? I mean, it's been 20 years. Like, how do you feel about that situation as a club and the stature of what you could actually achieve?
I think, like I said before, that's where you play for as a footballer. You want to be in these positions to compete for titles, and yeah, that we're so close is great. Obviously, like you said, we just need to do our job, and that's win the remaining games, and then we have done our job, and then it depends on the other side, of course. But because we have had such a great year already, I think, and played so well, and especially the run we had from January till now has been incredible.
Sesh, I want you to put your development coach hat on now, please, because you are development coach at Portsmouth. Talk about his development this season.
Well, what he's shown, firstly, he's a team player. His attitude towards the team has been spot on. So as a development coach, firstly, you want players that you can work with. He's obviously got potential. He was very versatile. So even at Brighton, he had some games as a wing-back. He's two-footed, so that shows he's done a lot of work over the years on being two-footed. And when he's not played, he's come on and made a huge impact. So he's obviously still working on himself while he's not playing, and the team get the benefits of it. So, you know, development is for players of all age groups, not just the younger players, but first-team players can still improve, and he's a classic case of that.
I think it's really impressive as well as a substitute when you're coming in cold in situations, and he's got Arsenal out of a lot of troubling situations and game scenarios, and his finishing doesn't seem to change that much game to game. He really can be consistent, even though he doesn't get as many opportunities to start.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens. We're running out of games to look for a twist in the final stages of this title race.
Yeah.
For Arsenal, that maybe could have come in that early kickoff against Bournemouth. It was the sort of fixture where there could maybe have been an upset.
Yeah, there could have, but the way that Arsenal been playing, obviously people look back at the Villa came out of the blue, and even before that, the Bayern Munich. But I think that the response from those two defeats and the way they've played now has shown a lot of maturity. And there's not much more they could do in respects of trying to stay ahead of Man City. I think when you start the season, you know you're going to be needing to get 90 points, maybe plus. So for them to be this close, they've done well to run them this close. And it's still, like you say, it's not over, but again, it's very hard to not be in limbo as an Arsenal fan, even the Arsenal fans I'm speaking to, because they can't see where the slip-up's coming. You know what I mean? I'm praying that a slip-up will come, but like you have to look at the way that they have kicked into gear at this stage of the season again. It kind of happens with Pep after January. They really go on some mad tear. And it's very, very difficult to try and be positive about them slipping up, you know, as much as, you know, everybody in the Arsenal world wants it.
Yeah, because they've set these extraordinary standards. When you look, these are the seasons in which they have won the Premier League title. Obviously, the one in which they missed out is not in there. But when they do win it, generally, they're 90, if not 100 points. Well, there's only that outlier in 2020, 2021, which was the season that was all played behind closed doors. They made 86 points.
When you look at that, Kels, the only thing I could take for that is how unbelievable Liverpool were, and how do you get yourself going again after you've done one season, 92 points, losing by 1 point, and then 97 losing by 1 point. Like, what more do you need to do? Liverpool
They won the league the next season after the 97 points.
This is why, as much as, yes, we're talking about City and Arsenal at the moment and Liverpool, people think are mathematically out of it, but what they did just to try to hang on to this City team is what Arsenal have to now prepare themselves for. Because Liverpool, let's face it, they pushed them even in times where those numbers, what City are putting up, people who have won the league before are nowhere near those points. So you're seeing what a team has to do now, and this is why I do hope from Arsenal fans' point of view, they recognise how hard this is.
And I don't
think anyone's pointing the finger at Arsenal this season. They can't do any more than they've done. I think they go on and they win the next 2 games, but I think City will win the next 3. You just never know. But last year, you could say, you listen to all the noise, they bottled it. They haven't done that. They haven't bottled it. No. You know, they've pushed one of the greatest teams we've ever seen in the history of the Premier League. All the way.
And if they do it, Tim, if they do the 4, they are the best in the Premier League.
But it's also this talk of bottling it, and we had these conversations at the end of last season. It's not about not holding your nerve. It's about like you said, about trying to reach those standards, about the toll that takes mentally and physically on the players, and just trying to keep that level of optimism as much as anything.
Absolutely. I think both of them teams at the moment, Man City and Arsenal, fully strength squads. You know, last year Saliba was missing. He was like, you know, can we do it without our centre half? They ain't got to worry about that now. It's amazing now the 2 best teams have got fully fit squads in the running. But that's the way it works for Man City. It always does. You know, Haaland's come back so fresh. You know, he's had a little time off. He dips him into a game, gives him half a game. All of a sudden, he starts. I mean, they peak at the right time. It's just uncanny what they do every single year. But it's driven from one man, and that's the best manager we've ever seen. And that, for me, in my opinion, is Pep Guardiola.
Yeah. And
Ferguson is mine.
Because he did it for longer?
Just it. I just want to get it out there. I have to go. Ferguson will always be mine, I think.
Right, well, that's a side debate. We'll have that debate, Heather. Maybe we'll do a special where the two of you can debate it. But I saw this described over the weekend, I think on Twitter or something, where the phrase somebody used was, this is a season where it has all the appearance of a title race, but nobody really believes that there is one. And that's because Manchester City are so relentless at this stage of the season.
Yeah, my view on this stage of the season is that City know their way home from here. They know their way home after a night out from here. You know, they are the kind of team that mentally, when you have already coped on so many occasions with the pressure of negotiating the final few furlongs, it doesn't matter who you're up against. You've got that belief in yourself that you can do it. And you look at Arsenal, they've got the best defence and the best attack. They still can't reel them in. Liverpool, on that graphic we just saw a couple of seasons ago, they had the best defence. They conceded only 26 goals. We all know how many goals they can score up front, and they still couldn't do it. And I think it's a combination of that belief and the quality that they have in the side as well. And I think all of, certainly the media fraternity, looking at what City have done, I think the biggest achievement for Arsenal is that they had for a long while, convinced the media fraternity that they could do it. And yet, the City have just bided their time, waited with, and come through. And it's Guardiola, he trains the team to come good at the right time. And the numbers, I was talking before about the numbers. In the last 3 seasons, from the turn of the year, they've played 56 times, they've won 43 of those occasions and only lost 4. And that is because Pep trains them to come good in the second half of the campaign.
You sound like the media fraternity has give up hope.
I think they have. There's a real fait accompli about it now because they just don't lose from here.
We're going to have to see. You have to believe, and I would say the fans have to believe. But then from the players' point of view, what's happening now, I should say, from Arsenal's point of view, that people will, if it doesn't happen, then they go back and they nitpick about, well, if you've done this, and you're not meant to do that. No. You're meant to just, you're not meant to be perfect. You know, you're not meant to be perfect. And so when you look back, and people talk about West Ham to me, people talk about Fulham. Obviously, recently we're talking about Villa. I think that the mental stage at what these Arsenal players are at now, they're ready for it. But I'm not sure if they understand the enormity of what they've got to do. This is why, again, I can have to refer back to Liverpool, 92, losing by 1 point on 92 points, losing now on 97 points, and in the next season, totally blitzing the whole thing. That's the mental place that Arsenal have to
as
get
players,
themselves
if you're in a dressing room and you've done all that those teams have done, and Pep's not going anywhere, so you've got to go again. Is there an air of resignation? Do you think, oh my God, we've done all this, and
you know that because you're so close with this set of players, there's certain players that can come in that will give you the boost to say, right, with him, we can go and do that. That kind of boosts you again. to make you go again because you get fresh impetus, fresh players, fresh blood, and then that's when you add that player to the squad or a couple of players who you see are going to improve it, and then you say, right, with these three, we can go better than that, and that's what you. That's why you have to hope that Arsenal are probably going to hopefully try and do if it doesn't happen.
Arsenal have done that though this year, haven't they? I mean, with Declan Rice,
Yeah.
I mean, they brought
Kai,
in a player.
you have to mention Kai.
Took them to another level. You know, but they still can't get over the line. So it'd be really damning if they do not. And it's hard for any of us to put a finger on it and just say, well, it's experience. That's what it's down to. When I did it, we looked at our manager. Our manager had done it as a player. He'd done it as a manager previously. So we took belief that he will get us over the line. He will guide us and show us the way. But when you're looking on the other side, if you're in the Arsenal dressing room, you have to keep believing that there might be an upset. Something might just happen. Liverpool done it. You know, take belief in what Liverpool did. But did Liverpool do it when there was no crowd there? Is that taking the edge off a little bit?
I think that's even harder.
Towards
when you haven't won it for 20
Yeah, but they won it. There were 25 points before
Yes.
everything closed down for
Yes.
COVID. 25
Yes.
points clear at that stage. So it was the following season that they struggled when they
I
fell
think
away.
that,
And Man United ended up
again
second.
for me.
Quite a way off.
There's something to be taken from that Liverpool team that won it after those 2 years. There's something you have to find. I'd love them to be able, the Arsenal boys, to be able to sit down with those guys and say, when you missed out by 1 point there and 1 point there, how did you go again afterward? How did you get it going again? And I think something will come back to the players. You know, obviously the manager's got to take a massive amount of credit for that, for keeping those players hungry after going so close. But it's something that you have to do it so as then you can say you've done it and you can do it again. You have to keep pushing City like this because they are the best. You know, they've got the best manager. You have to say they've got the best squad, probably in the world in respects of a whole squad. So you have to be making sure that you are bringing it A+ every game.
It's interesting when you talk about the squad and it being the best in the world because clearly they're very capable. But if you look at individual players within the squad, other teams could have had them and chose not to. Akanji was offered to a number of clubs in the Premier League before he went to City. They declined to have him, so City said, we'll take him. Alvarez, West Ham came close to signing him before he went to City. There are so many other players. Tottenham had a deal in the palm of their hands for Jack Grealish. Decided he cost too much money, and then obviously they got him to sign a new deal, and then he went to City for substantially more. But other teams had opportunities to take individual players in that City side, and they didn't. What Guardiola's done is put them all together and made the sum of the parts even better. You know, improving individual players, getting that collective spirit between them has meant that despite what has emerged as a rival, as a threat to them, they've got complete belief in what they're able to do, which has got them to where they are now.
Yeah, and evolving continuously as a squad, and not having those kind of wholesale changes. It's been tweaks, as you say, every season. Manchester City then managing to more than get the job done on Saturday evening. Erling Haaland with 4 goals in that one on May the 4th. So to continue the Star Wars theme, so it was followed up by Brighton beating Aston Villa, who beat them 6-1 earlier in the season. So May the 4th be with you was followed by Revenge of the 5th. It was a massive handbrake to try and get that one in. I just really liked it.
I like it.
But look, for Erling Haaland, there's been criticism of him. There's an element of revenge with that. And he talked in his post-match interview, you know, about kind of trying to answer his critics because it hasn't been seen as a vintage Haaland season compared to the total domination of the league that he enjoyed last time out. And yet he's still 5 points clear in terms of the Golden Boot.
Yeah, well, this is
5 goals clear, not
Yeah,
points.
but the thing with it is, Kels, is that he's a world-class striker. He's 23. And there's aspects of his game that he's working on. Yeah. But, like, if we're going to go...
That's only his 4th headed goal in that as well this
season. And you see how high he was.
Yeah.
The thing is that when you look at someone like Erling Haaland, the way he's blasted onto the scene in world football, and especially in the Premier League, and how he just dismissed it in respects of winning the Golden Boot, just blasted through. We're still talking about a player who is learning how to be a striker. I think that, and probably one of the things I was thinking about the other day, Kels, is when he's growing up, he's so big, he's so powerful, he's so physical. There's not much you could teach him in respects of holding a ball because someone's going to try and come and rough you up and that, because he'll just turn and probably run against those 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. So it's not something that he may be... The same with Romelu Lukaku.
Yeah.
Same problem he had is that when you look at him as a as a striker and his link-up in some of the time, it can fall down because I don't think they've done a lot of that when they're younger, simply because of their physicality and the fact that they were so great at scoring goals. Erling Haaland, all he needs to do is just tighten up his centre-forward play like you have to do, any striker does.
Honestly, and there's a relevance to this because the Football Writers chose their player of the season this season, and it was Phil Foden, and justifiably so, because Phil... If it were not for his goal, City wouldn't still be in the title race with Erling Haaland out. But last season, Erling Haaland scored 52 goals in all competitions. He broke the record for the most goals in a season. Obviously, before that, it was Cole and Shearer. You played with him. I think what Haaland's done is set a bar so high that he could do something extraordinary, and people think it's ordinary.
Yes.
He has scored more goals than it took for Harry Kane to win the Golden Boot a couple of seasons ago. He's already scored more goals with a couple of games to go.
Yeah.
And I think in years to come, we will look back at the time we had a footballing phenomenon in this league and think, why did we not appreciate what we had?
But that was the case with Sergio Aguero, and Manchester City would get quite irritated by that, the fact that they felt he wasn't hugely appreciated. And I wonder if particularly in this City side is because everybody's part is as important as the player next to them. He's not, you know, you look at that Manchester City side and you can say, yeah, Haaland's great, but you could make a case for several other players in that side as to how important they are.
I think that's fair. It's all right. I think that's fair. The thing that I think strikes me about Haaland is that people, this faux argument about he doesn't do anything outside the box, and yet he did all those things when he was at Dortmund, you know, chasing down, you know, running the channels, being able to provide a pass at the right time. But also, set against that, some of the greatest strikers in history. Go back to Paolo Rossi when I fell in love with football in 1982, and, you know, he did nothing. He was literally a goal hanger, chatting to the goalkeeper. The ball comes in, bam,
That's what it's
he
about.
scores goals. And I think since then, there have been so many outstanding penalty box players, and that's what... We talked to Ollie Watkins, and he said, what's the secret of your success? He says... Unai Emery wants me to play within the 18-yard box. And we said, isn't that great? But then he does it and he said, oh, his game is limited. It just blows my mind how he doesn't get...
Also, because he's tall, because he has such a physical presence as well, it maybe doesn't look as elegant as other players look at times. And sometimes that's why... Not that but when you talk about players and body language, and somebody like an Ozil, well, he's lazy, because his body language is very relaxed. So you look at Haaland, because he's big, maybe he's not as elegant, but they're all pretty much doing the same.
Because you watched the game the other day, Kels, and it's like, you know, and people are looking at it now with a little bit more scrutiny because people want something to criticise, they want something to find fault with him. And so they'll say maybe he's link-up play, but even the last couple of games, I've seen the way he's moved, the way he's given himself half a yard so as he can give himself the time. It's something that I had to do. You make the move to give yourself the time, so if your touch is bad, you can get it right again. But I'm seeing him doing that now. I'm seeing him laying it off first time. I think for one of the chances that he should have had, he was in, like, his own third, laid one off down there, and then turned and bombed it up there. You know, we're going to see all that part of his game tighten up, and then what people are going to say.
He plays a part anyway by just being on the pitch, because he occupies the two centre-halves, because he's always looking at that number, he's taking them back, allowing Phil Foden to come on the half turn in that space. Kevin De Bruyne, they exploit it. If you ask them City players, are you a better team with him in it or with him out of it? They would all say the same answer when he's in it. When he's in it, he occupies them, he keeps them back. And when teams sit back against him, what he can improve on is what we saw there, the heading goals. I think when he gets across people, he's all right when he's jumping behind them like he did at the weekend. I'll be working on him all the time and getting in front of people. He does it with his feet. He needs to do it with his head. If he does that, mate, I mean, like, it's hard to fault him anyway for goal-scoring prowess, but I think he can still get better, I really do.
It's such a good point, because in, I think it was 94 where... Hristo Stoichkov, the Bulgarian striker, played alongside Romario for Barcelona. And that's exactly what Stoichkov used to do, is barrel-chested, big, burly forward, and he'd draw defenders out of position, and Romario would run into the spaces. And the amount of goals they scored that way, it was just incredible as a partnership. And that's exactly what Haaland does. He's not just all about that, but he does occupy defenders simply by being on the pitch.
Pep will be telling him, don't come in there. Do not come into there. Keep them back. You know, and when Alvarez is playing, you see centre-halves jump from their position and go and accost him in there. Not with Haaland. They can't afford to leave that space, because them players in midfield, they've got wing mirrors. They just see the little pass, they flick it round the corner, and once he gets in behind you with his pace, you're not catching him.
Yeah.
I'm imagining you with a wing mirror.
I saw you was going to say that.
Do you know? I think they did that as an April Fool's one day in one of the papers. They had
Wing mirrors on the boots.
Boots with like little wing mirrors on the side of them. It fooled a few people because sympathies. People were less suspicious, maybe. But look, as we head into the kind of final stages of the season, it's 3 more games for Manchester City. Because of everything that we've said, it looks almost impossible to say City are going to slip up at any one of these stages. But there is still the opportunity. We know, in fact, to be honest, it's difficult to say that Arsenal are going to slip up in those games, particularly now we know that home game against Everton. If Everton had been fighting for Premier League survival, that would have been a different fixture. Yeah. But now it just kind of, you know, for a lot of sides, well, in fact, for all the opposition, it's not too much.
Do you think it gives them more advantage?
I don't know. What do you think?
To play, I don't. I think there's more freedom for teams when they've got nothing to play for. You know, because a lot of them players perhaps feel like their future's away from Everton.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about Tottenham and West Ham in a second, and they don't look like players who are playing for their future. Certainly not on the evidence of this weekend. So, but like you said, it can affect them either way. Manchester United, I think, is an interesting one because of that.
What they're capable of maybe doing.
Well, because there's uncertainty about the managerial situation. There's uncertainty about what's going to happen over the summer. The fact that there have been reports that everyone bar 3 young players is available to purchase should anybody sale. But it's kind of it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. Yeah, but like at the same time, what you can all Arsenal have to do, and is, you know, it's something that you hear all the time, especially at this stage of the season. You just got to go and beat them. I think it's a good time to play Man United with the way it's going, especially with Arsenal needing to win. And it's not, you know, Man United could turn up. They could really cause a problem because they've got players who can do that. Yeah. But you just have to look at the way that Arsenal have been playing now, the maturity of them now, and obviously knowing the enormity of not losing that. If they lose that game, they know it's done. So it's a game that I do expect Arsenal to win simply because of the way they're playing and the way Man United are playing and the mindset they're in at the moment. But again, you look at those games with City in, you look at Fulham. Can Fulham stop them? I'm not sure away from home because Man City away from home have got even more of a never say die mindset if it doesn't go wrong. And you have to look at it and you think, can they honestly hold Manchester City out for 90 plus minutes? You can't see it. And then the rest of the other 2 games, you know, you just feel like I can't see them losing. You have to have hope, you know what I mean, simply because Manchester City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium do not have a good record.
Last 2 seasons they were beaten.
Well, the thing about that is that as much as you could still see that maybe if a Tottenham team turn up and do cause them problems, Tottenham will have a 5-minute spell where Man City will punish them. You know, I can't see them, from what I've seen from Tottenham for the last 4, 5, 6 games, seeing a Tottenham team that's going to find the energy and the capability to hold out a City team for 90 plus minutes.
Although that spell from Tottenham against Liverpool came when they were 4-0 down and were fighting an uphill battle because they have sort of limped towards the end of the season.